The first section we're going to look at is the CATHEXISVision product overview. From there, we're going to move on to the CATHEXISVision license overview. So here we're going to talk about all of our available licenses and the functionality that it provides you. The third section we're going to cover is upgrading licenses. We're going to talk about the benefits of our upgrades, as well as a little tool that will make calculating upgrades easier for you. Starting with the first section, let us take a look at a site structure. So the most basic building block of CATHEXISVision is a server, or the CATHEXISVision server installation, right? So that's your most basic building block, like you see here. You have a server installation that is put down, and then you have databases that is attached to your server. And to that, you can add cameras, you can add integrations, you can add many other functions that form your site as a whole. And from building your site with your server, then you can utilize things like our CATHEXISVision client interface to access the site and view cameras and view other resources on your site. We also have CATHEXISVision Carbon. Carbon is our upgraded client viewer that gives us advanced features and functionality that we couldn't necessarily offer with the CATHEXISVision client. And Carbon is basically us taking strides to make the product better. It's important to remember, because this is a licensing webinar, that when it comes to licensing of a site, all your licenses for your server and all the other functions reside on your site, and they do not reside on other products that make up the CATHEXISVision product suite. So speaking of that, let us zoom out a little bit and let us take a look at what are the other products that make up CATHEXISVision. So we have the CATHEXISVision server that makes up your base structure, like how you see here for our site in London and New York. We have a server with all of the integrations and all of the other functions. To that, we've spoken about the CATHEXISVision client that can monitor sites and cameras and all these resources. We've spoken about CATHEXISVision Carbon. We can also add control room functionality through the use of our CATHEXISVision Alarm Management Gateway. After the Alarm Management Gateway, we can also introduce higher levels of management. And one of these higher levels of management is an enterprise server. So there's two pieces of our software. We could either have an enterprise server, or we could have a multi-site server. So the multi-site feature, or the multi-site product, this allows a central, or this creates a central viewing platform that allows you to bring many different sites, like how you can see here, sites in Turkey, in Spain, in South Africa, and you bring them all to a central server location, and you connect to that, and you can view all of these different sites. The other product that we have available is Enterprise. So Enterprise is almost like an ultimate solution. It gives you that same functionality as a multi-site, where you can view multiple sites, but it also gives you higher level functionality in terms of dashboards, in terms of asset lists, and many other features that multi-site just gives you the ability to view these sites, whereas Enterprise gives you much more functionality on the site and control over your sites. And you can see here the interaction between Carbon, our CATHEXISVision Mobile, and you can use these many different sites and connect to them individually, or even connect to them through the enterprise or multi-site. From here, then we come to how do you go about downloading Cathexis? So the way that you can download Cathexis is you can head over to CATHEXISVideO.com. And that's where you can obtain the software file. So there is a link again in the chat box. And if we go to CATHEXISVideO.com, you can see if we go to support, you can go to downloads. And from downloads, you can download any single version of our software, whether you want to download CATHEXISVision, whether you want to download Carbon. And basically, any edition up until 2014, or as far back as 2014. So when you download the software from our website, the software is regarded as in trial mode. So what is the trial mode? Trial mode basically gives you the functionality to test out the software, and it gives you 2 trial camera licenses. So it gives you the ability to add up to 2 cameras to your site, as well as it gives you 2 days worth of review time. So you can review as far back as 2 days worth of recorded footage for those 2 cameras. It also gives you the ability to set up basic video motion detection analytics. So things like line crossings and motion detection analytics. So it'll allow you to set those things up, and you can test out every other feature in the software except features that are obviously licensable. So you could set up scheduled recordings, you could set up motion recordings, all of those things within the software. And you can download it again from CATHEXISVision.com. Now, let us move on to the second section, which is the license overview. Starting with the license overview, the first thing we have to talk about is the most basic building blocks of a CATHEXISVision site. So we've spoken about the building block being the server, the CATHEXISVision server installation. So what are the 2 pieces that you need to add to your server? The first is a base package license. So there are 4 types of base package licenses that a site can be configured in. And we're going to talk about the 4 different types of base packages and its functionality in a second. So the first thing you need is a base package license, which will enable the functionality of your site. The second thing you need is camera licenses. So camera licenses, you would basically, depending on the type of base package that you purchase, you need to purchase the corresponding camera license, and these enable the cameras to monitor your sites. So camera licenses within Cathexis are not linked to a MAC address, and yeah. So if you are setting up a site, these are the 2 most basic things that you require to get your site off the ground and get your site operating. From here, the next thing we can talk about is the licensing methods. How do we go about licensing our software? Because you're telling us, Prashant, you know what, we need a base package license, we need camera licenses. How do we license the software? So there's 2 methods in terms of licensing your CATHEXISVision software. The first method is your internet-based method. So the internet-based method is an easy online method of licensing your software. And it's broken up into 2 sub-ways as such. The first is your simple, straightforward way of a product key. So you purchase licenses from Cathexis or whichever vendor. They will give you a license key. You go to your CATHEXISVision software, you enter your product key, and you get your licenses. The second type of internet-based licensing method that we have is the auto update functionality. So the auto update functionality, this allows you to reobtain your licenses in the event of a crash or a system reinstallation or anything like that. So you don't need to go through any additional steps so long as your your network interface has not changed off your server. You can go into you can reinstall Windows, reinstall Cathexis, and then you can go auto update your software, and it will re-give you all of the licenses that you had applied to your server already. The second method that we have in terms of licensing is our non-internet based method of licensing. So the non-internet based method of licensing is a way of licensing that is a more manual process, but it allows you tailored support. What do we mean by tailored support? The tailored support is in terms of licensing sites or locations that are remote, that may not have internet connectivity, as well as it gives you the ability to license sites that may not be able to connect to the internet. Like, for example, in South Africa, the gaming industry. Servers or NVRs are not allowed to connect to the open internet. Hence, you can use the non-internet based method of licensing to license your server. if we had to open up CATHEXISVision, right? Let me show you the way to license a server. So you would open up the site setup tab, and then you would make your way to the third option on the left-hand side, which is your server configuration. Under your server configuration, depending on the number of servers that make up your site, you would right-click on the server itself, and then you would go licensing. So remember all of the functions that we just spoken about. Licensing online via product key. There's the option here. The auto update functionality, if you are reinstalling your Windows or reinstalling the software. The manual method or the non-internet based method, you would retrieve a license request file that you would then send to support, and then support would return you back a pack file which you upload to the server, and that licenses your server. Just as a quick example, if I go auto update, I go next, finish, and if I revisit the licensing section, here you can see all of the licenses that were reallocated to me following my reinstallation of the software. From our licensing methods, let us take the next step by talking about the different base packages that make up our software. So the first set of base packages we're going to talk about is Lite and Core. So the Lite base package is a single server base package, right? So here, the Lite base package comes in bundles of either 4, 8, 12, 16, 24, 36, or 48 cameras. It's a single server package, meaning you can set up one server with this Lite package. You can have 3 simultaneous client connections, meaning 3 clients can connect to the site and view the resources on the site. You have standard event actions for the site. After Lite, then we come to our core base package. So the core base package, this consists of up to 48 camera channels, right? And the core base package is a single server product. So you can have a single server set up on the site. Here you can have 7 simultaneous client connections, advanced event actions, as well as a core site is enterprise and multi-site capable. So it is able to connect to an enterprise or multi-site with the required licenses if you add it to the site. Moving on, the next type of base package we're going to talk about is a professional base package. So the professional base package, this base package, you can add up to 150 camera channels. Here you can have an unlimited number of servers. So you can set up as many servers as you would like for this site. You have 10 simultaneous client connections. You have advanced event actions. It is failover capable. So you can set up a failover server for a professional site. Again, with the required failover licenses. A professional base package also includes support for multi-site. So a professional site can actually connect to a multi-site without any additional licenses required. It is enterprise capable with the required licenses. After the professional base package, then we come to the premium base package. Premium base package, this is the best of the best. So with the premium base package, you have an unlimited number of camera channels that you can set up on the site. You have an unlimited number of servers that you can set up on the site. You have an unlimited number of simultaneous client connections you can set up for your site. You have advanced event actions. Your premium base package includes the support or includes the licenses for multi-site and enterprise. So you don't require any additional licenses, and your premium site can connect immediately to an enterprise or a multi-site server. With the premium base package, failover support is also included, meaning you can set up failover servers for your premium site without any additional licenses required. The interactive maps as well as video wall support are also included with the premium base package. So you can set up maps and video walls without any additional licenses required. And premium sites are for larger sites, almost multinationals that are spread out across the country, across the province, across the world. That's where the premium base package might work. Something else to keep in mind is the different types of base packages. It is very specific to your requirements. So it might not necessarily be, if you need 48 cameras, that's the base package to go. Depending on your type of requirements, you would judge which is the best base package for you. Moving on, we've spoken about all of these base packages, right? So there are some features that are supported across all of them. The first is hybrid support. So hybrid support, basically, you are allowed, or there is support included for IP cameras as well as older coax cameras. You have audio recording and bidirectional communication that is included, multicast support, the video motion detection analytics. Our advanced analytics suite can be used across all of these base packages. Edge analytics support. If your cameras are built in with analytics, you can leverage those analytics and send those triggers into Cathexis. Third-party system integrations. So you can set up integrations with the required licenses for any of our base packages. Our Cathexis Observer. Interactive map support. So you can set up maps for any of our base packages, again, with the required licenses. Same thing with video wall support. Network storage support. So you can use network storage to build your databases, as well as reporting. So you can have reporting for any of these base packages that we have just spoken about. Now, let's talk, after talking about the base packages, let's talk about some of our other features. The first we're going to talk about is the power of analytics. So CATHEXISVision has analytics that you can set up for all of your different base packages, right? There are 3 levels of analytics. Analytics level 1, which is our basic analytics. Analytics level 2, which is our intermediate analytics. And analytics level 3, which is our advanced analytics. So depending on the type of analytic you want to set up, you would purchase one of these 3 analytics licenses to set up on your camera. Now, let's take a look at level 1 first. So level 1, we said, is our basic analytics. So basic analytics, this includes something like a simple presence in the area. It also includes line crossing triggers. It includes line counting triggers, dynamic background models, object classification for the metadatabase, as well as the smart video motion detection, if it isn't already included in your base package. On the left-hand side, you can see an analytic running, and that is a basic line crossing. What you would notice is the line crossing is set up for people walking out of the store. So the 2 guys that walk towards or walk into the store, no trigger. But the guy that walks out, you see there is a red dot signifying the trigger. Now, after our level 1 analytics, let's talk about our level 2 analytics. So our level 2 analytics, we said this is our intermediate analytics. The cool thing with Cathexis is that when you purchase level 2, it doesn't mean that you're just purchasing level 2 analytics or level 2 triggers. If you purchase the level 2 triggers, this includes the level 1 triggers that we've just spoken about. What it also gives you access to, it gives you access to advanced area rules. It gives you access to advanced line crossings, queue length, static object detections, objects taken away or objects left behind. The example that we can see running on the left-hand side here is a stop in the area. So you can see the vehicle stops in the area and we get a trigger. Moving to our level 3 analytics now. So our level 3 analytics, like how we said, this is our advanced analytics. And again, just like with level 2, if you purchase level 3 analytics licenses, level 3 will include the level 2 triggers and the level 1 triggers, as well as it gives you access to 3D line crossings. It gives you the ability to filter and track objects by direction, size, and speed. It gives you the ability to trigger on object or classified objects, being either a person, a vehicle, or an animal. Level 3 analytics also gives you the ability to set up speed rules. It gives you the ability to utilize our feature search function. Level 3 also gives you access to some COVID-19 triggers like mask detection as well as social distancing. The example that we see on the left-hand side running here, this is an area rule that has been set up that is set up to trigger specifically when a vehicle is on the driveway or in that area. And you can see when the vehicle has been in the area for so many seconds, it triggers off. If a person has to stand in that area, it wouldn't trigger at all. After our analytics, now let's talk about our integrations, right? Or our integration licenses. So when it comes to integration licensing, Cathexis can communicate or can integrate with third-party systems like access control, point of sales, fire panels, alarm panels, all of those things. And if you want to see the most up-to-date list of integrations, you can head over again to our website, cathexisvideo.com. Under video monitoring, there is the integration section. So if you go to the integration section, here you can see a list of every type of integration that we have, from access control, point of sales, way bridges. And if you wanted to do a more in-depth dive, like say, for example, you wanted to see what type of alarm panels we integrate with, you can click on the alarm panels, and here you can see a whole list. And this is your most up-to-date list of integrations for alarm panels, as well as it gives you a breakdown of the integration, and it tells you which version of the software this integration is available in. So the AVS electronics alarm panel, this has been available since 2023, CATHEXISVision 2023. Now, after deciding or looking at the different types of integrations and if they can work with your site, now, what are the different types of licenses that would enable that integration? So there are 3 types of integration licenses. The first is a single license model. So the single license model, this is a simplified license model for standalone integrations, right? Basically, you purchase a single license for the integration, and it's not dependent on the number of devices that make up your integration. The second type of license that we have is a base license model. So the base license model, this is scalable for small and large installations. And how the base license model structure works is you purchase a base license for the integration itself, and then you would purchase a per device license that will enable for the different pieces that make up the integration. And like how I said, the base license model is more common because it allows that flexibility, as well as it allows, or it makes it more of a more affordable integration. We also have the bundle license model, right? So that is the third type of integration licensing that we do. And the bundle license model, this is similar to the base license model, where there is a base license for the integration itself. But the bundle license, instead of a per device license like the base license, here you have an unlimited per device license. So meaning you can set up as many devices as you would like, right? And this is more suitable for larger complex setups. I can give you some examples of the different license models or the different integrations that work with these license models, but there's no hard and fast rule, if that does make sense. So it's very dependent on the type of integration and what feedback we receive from the device itself or the manufacturer itself. So if you'd like to find out more, you can check out on our website, and there is documentation that outlines the different types of licenses you require for your integration and all of those things. Or alternatively, you can reach out to your salesperson or your integrator. Moving on from integration license models, before I forget, there is the Q&A section of the webinar. So if anyone does have any questions regarding anything in the webinar, please feel free to leave the questions in the Q&A section. And towards the end of the webinar, we will be going through some of the questions. After integration licensing, now let's talk about our add-on site features. So these are features that we can add on to a site, right? Specifically to a site. Now, some of the add-on site features, starting with map licenses. So map licenses, there are two types of map licenses that you can set up for a site. You have a site map license, and the site map license has been included with the premium version of Cathexis since 2018, right? And the sitemap license allows or enables interactive maps to be set up for a site, and any connecting client can view and interact with that map. The second type of map license that we have is the client map license. So the client map license, this works slightly different to the sitemap license, right? So the client map license, this is a license that is applied to your client interface or to your user interface. And this will allow a client to set up maps for sites that may not be necessarily licensed for maps, right? So the client can connect to any site, set up a map, even if the site is not licensed for maps. The second add-on feature we can talk about is video walls. So video walls, what are video walls? Video walls are basically like these screens that we can add live cameras to. So there are two types of video wall licenses that we can talk about. The first is the unlimited video wall license. So the unlimited video wall license has been included with the premium version of Cathexis since 2018. And this will allow you to set up an unlimited number of video walls for a site. And video walls are not considered simultaneous client connections. You also have a single video wall license. So the single video wall license, this can be applied to any recording server, and it'll allow you to set up one single video wall for that site. The third and final site add-on feature we can talk about is failover licenses. So failover licenses, what is failover? Failover basically allows a site to stay online if your server has to go down or fail. And what this requires is the setting up of an additional server that is in a standby mode or a hot spare mode, if we can say that. So the type of licenses that make up failover, firstly, we have the failover site-based license, right? So the failover site-based license, this has been included with the premium version of Cathexis since 2018. And this license is required if it's required to set up a failover server on your site. If you are on premium, then you do not require this license. So this license is required for professional sites. The second type of failover license we can talk about is the failover site camera license. So the failover site camera license, these have been included with the premium version of Cathexis since 2023, right? And these are required for your cameras to move from your server that has failed to the failover server. If you are, or better way to put it is, the number of cameras that you have comprising of a site, that is the number of failover camera licenses you have to have. So the number of failover camera licenses has to match the number of site camera licenses. Otherwise, the failover will be impaired from starting. After our site add-on features, the next thing we can talk about is add-on site functionality. Here we can talk about the CATHEXISVision Alarm Management Gateway. So the CATHEXISVision Alarm Management Gateway, this is a central alarm interface where you can have multiple sites sending alarms to a central location, like a control room environment. And you have people dealing with the alarms from your control room. The alarm management gateway comprises of two licenses: the alarm management gateway license or the alarm management server license. And this will allow you to set up the alarm management gateway as well as its associated database for your control room. And like how I mentioned, this can monitor an unlimited number of sites, servers, cameras, and remote sites with that license. The second type of alarm management gateway license we have is the alarm management gateway client license. So the client license, this basically allows a client to connect to your alarm management gateway and view and interact with the alarms that the alarm management gateway is receiving. If you are connecting to a site, but not necessarily interacting with the alarm management gateway, then you will not require the alarm management gateway client license, right? So like how the name suggests, this is a client license and it's not a site-based license. So just like the map license. And in something to mention is the fact that if you purchase the alarm management gateway client license, it also includes the client map license as well. Now, after this add-on site functionality, let's talk about some extended management. So I mentioned, or we sort of roughly spoke about multi-site earlier. So coming back to it, what is multi-site? So multi-site, like how I mentioned earlier, it is a central interface where you can have multiple sites connecting to, and then you connect to that multi-site server or that central location, and you can view the resources of all of these different sites. Like we see on this example on the left, you can see site 1, site 2, site 3, all connecting into this multi-site server. And then we can view the resources and the cameras from all three of these sites in one central location, right? So to connect your site to a multi-site server, you require multi-site enabler licenses. So multi-site enabler licenses, it allows your site to establish your connection to the multi-site server. And the license you require, like how I said, it's called multi-site enabler licenses. And the multi-site enabler licenses have been included with the professional and the premium version of Cathexis since 2023, right? So professional and premium sites that are running 2023 or newer can set up a multi-site without any additional licenses required. So the multi-site enabler licenses, these are for core sites. And just like what I was saying with the failover camera licenses, the number of multi-site enabler licenses has to match the number of site camera licenses. Otherwise, the site will not be able to establish a connection to the multi-site server, right? So that's very important for you to keep in mind if you are setting up a multi-site server. So multi-site also gives you access to some additional features like maps, video walls, as well as carbon alarms. So what are the licenses you require for each of those functions? Let's get it out of the way and say premium, you require no additional licenses because premium is already licensed for maps and video walls as well as carbon alarms. When it comes to maps and video walls, core sites as well as professional sites, the individual site would have to be licensed for maps or video walls for them to be set up in the multi-site server. When it comes to alarms, it's important to note that core sites, alarms are unavailable in a multi-site server. When it comes to professional, the site requires to be licensed for carbon alarms. When it comes to premium, like how I mentioned, alarms are automatically presented. After multi-site, right, then we move to enterprise. So enterprise, this is a sort of higher level solution, right? It's the ultimate solution that we have available. So enterprise has similar functionality to multi-site, where it gives you the ability to view and interact with the resources from the individual sites. Enterprise gives you more additional features, as well as it gives you more control over your enterprise server. If we had to talk about the licenses required to connect a site to an enterprise server, that's where we talk about enterprise enabler licenses, right? And it enables a site to connect or establish a connection to an enterprise server. So enterprise enabler licenses have been included with the premium version of Cathexis since 2023. And again, like how I've mentioned, they are required for a site to make a connection to an enterprise server. Once the site has been added to the enterprise server, the site can be viewed through the enterprise connection, maps, resources, all the cameras and everything. Enterprise also requires 100% of your cameras to be licensed for it to be viewed through the enterprise server. When it comes to the add-on features of enterprise, like maps, video walls, and alarms, there are no additional licenses required because this is our ultimate solution. So there's no additional licenses required. If you can establish a connection to the enterprise, all of these features and functions are presented automatically. Now we come to upgrade licenses, right? Last stretch. When it comes to upgrading licenses, right? Why should you upgrade? Very good question. So the first point is to maintain strong cybersecurity. And in our current day and age, cybersecurity is the most important thing. Even when it comes to VMS systems and all of those things, you have to have your site as secure as possible, and you can't have footage being hacked and all of those things. If you'd like to read more about our cybersecurity enhancements, there is a cybersecurity document available on our website that you can read through whatever we're doing to make sure our sites are secure and our software is secure. The second point, why you should upgrade, is because it keeps your site up to date with the latest features and functions, right? Cathexis is always striving to add new features, add new functions that you as a customer are requesting. And we strive our best to add those functions. So each year we add those functions in as and when we can. The third point why you should upgrade is to access the latest camera drivers and integrations. So integrations, I mean, there's new fire panels coming out, new access control. If you want access to the latest version, you need to stay up to date with the CATHEXISVision software. Same thing with camera drivers, because remember, as time goes on, newer cameras are released and they have newer drivers and newer communication methods. And if you are not using the latest communication method, that may leave you susceptible to cybersecurity vulnerabilities, as well as if you try and upgrade to a newer camera, you won't have the latest drivers at some point as well if you are staying with older versions of the software. The fourth point why you should upgrade is because it keeps your site running efficiently. I mean, if you consider the advancements of processes in the last few years, the introduction of performance cores and efficiency cores, and with the introduction of all of these new types of processing methods and all of those things, Cathexis strides to stay on par with the advancement of the processors, so that when you are deploying a site with the latest processor, our software is using it as efficiently as possible. And you are getting more bang for your buck as such from your processor. So there's two types of upgrades that we can talk about. The first one is purchased version updates, right? So purchased version updates, basically, if you purchase CATHEXISVision 2023, right? We release quarterly packs or quarterly service packs, CATHEXISVision 2023.2. 2023.3, 2023.4. And in these quarterly patches or these quarterly service packs, there are improvements to the software, there are bug fixes. And if you've purchased CATHEXISVision 2023, you can upgrade to 2023.2, 2023.3, 2023.4 free of charge. There's no additional cost to you, and it allows your site to stay up to date with the latest features and capabilities for that year. So our second type of upgrade we can talk about is annual updates, right? So annual updates or migration licenses, that's what we're talking about. So we've spoken about 2023.2.3 and .4. Where migration licenses come in, migration licenses allows you to move up a version of the software, right? So you've gone through 2023.1.2.3 and .4. 2024 now, here we release new features. We have introduced maybe an intercom functionality or some sort of new integration that you need access to. That's where your migration license would come in, and it would require you to move from 2023 to 2024. And these releases or these major feature additions are done once per year, right? It's important to note at this point, before we speak any further, that Cathexis licenses do not expire, right? So if you want to stick with 2023, you can, but you will not get access to the latest features and functions. And that's where the migration license comes in, because it allows you to move up a CATHEXISVision version. And then once you're at 2024, you still get access to 2024.1, .2, .3, and .4 every quarter. Now, after the upgrade licenses, I want to talk about the last 3 years, right? Some people may be using 2018, 2019, whatever. If we had to look at the last 3 years of Cathexis, look at how much has changed with the software. Starting back in 2022, right? 2022, we introduced our Carbon user interface, our upgraded client viewer that has the latest features, latest functions. We also launched the CATHEXISVision mobile application, similar to the Carbon application, with new features, new functions. In 2022, we also introduced neural networks to the software for our analytics. We also had advanced object classification filters introduced in 2022. When it came to 2023, we launched multi-site. We launched enterprise. We introduced carbon alarms. We introduced the carbon feature search function. As of 2024, we had major processor improvements. Again, the performance cores, the efficiency cores, all of those things. In 2024, we introduced something called the Enterprise Site Upgrader. The Site Upgrader allows you to upgrade software on your many different sites from a central location without you having to go to site or anything like that. In 2024, we also introduced a flexible intercom solution. The intercom solution requires nothing but a single camera with audio in and audio out, basically bi-directional communication, as well as it requires an input and an output. You don't require the purchasing of an expensive intercom integration or intercom integratable device. You can set up intercoms with a camera with audio in, audio out, and inputs and outputs. So just looking at the last 3 years, you can see how vastly the software has changed. And the same thing is going to be said about going forward. We're going to make major strides in changes to our software to better the sites that we are looking after and make it easier for you to manage your different sites. So kind of sort of my last slide. how do you calculate for upgrades, right? So the Cathexis term that we use for upgrade licenses, we call them CCVMs. CCVMs are basically Cathexis version migration licenses or Cathexis camera version migration licenses. Same thing that we spoken about a little earlier, right? And CCVMs can be used to migrate from to a newer version of the software. And it's basically you add a CCVM license per camera per year of upgrade. So for each upward step, you require one CCVM. It kind of sort of sounds confusing. And that's where the Cathexis calculation tool, the CCVM calculation tool comes in. So the CCVM calculation tool, right? This is what the upgrade calculator looks like. Say I set up a site in 2020, right? The site had 25 cameras. So I purchased the 25 camera licenses for that site. In 2021, I needed to add 10 more cameras to that site. So I purchased that. So to get my site from 2020 to 2021, right? I needed to purchase this 25 CCVMs to bring it from 2020 up until 2021. So I could input here, the total CCVMs already applied to site, 25. So we've gotten to 2021 and we've stuck with 2021. Say now I see the intercom and I want to figure out, okay, how many CCVMs do I need to get to 2024? No hard calculations. We filled in all of these information here. If we see 2024, we're going to require 105 CCVMs, 105 additional CCVMs to move from 2021 to 2024. It's as simple and easy as that. The CCVM calculation tool, you can request the CCVM calculation tool from support or from your sales associate. And with the calculation tool, you can even calculate as far up until 2028, how far or the number of CCVMs you require. It's at this point that we will take any questions from the Q&A section. There are some questions that I can see. One of the first questions is, can I upgrade my base package license? The base package licenses can be upgraded. Core and professional base packages can be upgraded. However, unfortunately, Lite cannot be upgraded. Another question I see here is that what licenses do you need to utilize Carbon? You require no additional licenses or no licensing to utilize the Carbon software because Carbon is a free-to-use piece of CATHEXISVision. And again, it's our upgraded client viewer. So why would you say no to the latest features and functions when they're telling you, hey, you don't require any, you don't need to pay for anything? It is important to note that Carbon can connect as far back as 2020 sites. Sorry, not 2020, my mistake. Let me say that again. Carbon can connect as far back as 2022 CATHEXISVision sites. Again, 2022 CATHEXISVision sites. Another interesting question that I see here is, do I need a base package for every server on my site? So, answer to that is no. You do not need a server for every base package on the site. You do not need a base package for every server on the site. My apologies. You only require a base package license for your master server on the site. I see a question. Is there a way to upgrade software across my site? Like how I've mentioned, we have the Cathexis client upgrader, which is available in Enterprise and with CATHEXISVision 2024. So that allows you a central interface through Enterprise to push updates to your servers, to your clients, and any installation of CATHEXISVision or Carbon, whether it's a failover server, a regular server. So it's important, if you are managing a large site, you can reach out to your sales associate and tell them, give you a demo of what the site upgrader looks like. One final question that we can take here, I see, can my CATHEXISVision 2024 client connect to a 2018 server? So the answer to that is no, and I'm going to explain this. So Cathexis, your CATHEXISVision client, right? It's meant to connect to the current version. So CATHEXISVision 2024 is meant to connect to 2024, as well as it can be able to connect to 2023, right? It can connect one version back, but some features may be unavailable. You may find that your client might be able to connect further back than those 2 years. But Cathexis does not provide any guarantee that the features and functions will work 100%. That is why we always suggest that a site is always running the same version. The client and the server are the exact same version. So if there are any other questions that I may have missed, they will be answered and mailed out post-webinar, right? So to sum everything up, firstly, when you're setting up a site, you have to choose your base package, and your base package will enable the functionality of your site. Second thing, you would choose the number of camera licenses you require for your site. The number of cameras you want to set up for the site. Number three, you would choose if you require analytics or if you require any additional integrations for your site. Number four, if you want to add on any site features like the video wall, like maps, like failover, you would choose if you want that for your site. After that, then you would decide, okay, do I have multiple sites that I need to set up something like a multi-site where I need to view multiple locations at once? Or do I need an enterprise solution that gives me the ability to upgrade and to have an asset list and a live dashboard of what's going on all of my sites? After making those decisions, it's always important to stay up to date with the latest features and functions, right? There was a question asking if you can get a copy of the webinar. There is a link that I have put in the chat right now to a webinar, a special document that has been drafted just for the attendees of this webinar, right? And just so you don't forget, everything that we've gone through, highlighted in that webinar, available to you. So if you do have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to us at cathexisvideo.com. You can scan the QR code, pop us an email. You can reach out to support or your sales associate should you have any further questions. And remember, simplifying life, securing the future. That's the motto here at Cathexis. So we aim to empower people and businesses with the tools to use and apply video data efficiently. So I would like to say a very, very big thank you for each and every one of you attending this webinar and wanting to learn more about Cathexis. Like how I said, you can reach out to us if you do have any questions, and if you'd like to be trained as well, reach out to your sales associate and you can request training on any of our product suites. Thank you very much, everyone.